Welcome back to Stadium Australia in the Grand Final for year 2000, and a terrific Grand Final so far. The Broncos are in front 10 points to 2, Gus Gould, and at times it looked as if the Roosters were looking for somebody to give them an idea of what to do and how to go ahead.
Yeah, they certainly were. Been very, very physical in defence, the Broncos, Ken. They've been getting up, smashing them on the edges. The smaller Roosters players have been looking for a way to make yards. You see it 10 points to 2 at half-time. Takiri a try for the Brisbane Broncos. De Vere 3 from 3. Phillips 1 from 1, but an important one, right on the stroke of half-time, just to give the Roosters a little bit of confidence.
Well, the confidence may have come if Hegarty had been able to ground the ball, but he was caught in a very, very physical tackle, lost the ball, and that was a try-scoring opportunity that went begging. Let's check that out right now.
All the Broncos defence raced across there, able to snuff it out, but an opportunity for the Roosters gone early.
And then, Phil, we saw the Broncos sort of get on a bit of a roll and promising to do all sorts of things, carve them up, and we saw something that I thought probably was a try, but the referee said no try. Let's check that out right now because of a Ben Ikin forward pass.
But referee Harrigan didn't, and he's the one that counts.
The key to the Takiri try, how did you see that unfold, Phil? What were you looking at that particular point in time?
Exactly the same thing, Ken. The Broncos have done very well today playing against the slide defence of the Roosters, had great success down the edges, and this one was no different. Darren Lockyer was able to set up the try for the Broncos.
Let's check it out.
And good work by Darren Lockyer.
The thing is, they're so fast all over the paddock, the Broncos, particularly on the wing. And when we saw Matt Singh make the break, I thought, hello, this fellow's going to have a bit of a run here. But it was very, very clever. Lockyer in particular herded him in.
Yeah, he had. He'd been smashed in defence a few times, Matty Singh, but he came in, relieved his forwards, come up with a tremendous bust. And this is where the game started to turn a little bit. The Roosters got a lot of confidence out of this 60-metre effort.
OK, let's check that one out.
Sideline, and his troops coming back in defence. They were able to snuff that out, regroup, and save a certain try.
OK, Phil, now the master coach's analysis of the first half. Let's take a look at some of the vision and talk us through it.
Yeah, I really think the Broncos have done well spreading the ball early. The Roosters tried it early themselves. They decided they were going to run the Broncos forwards around, and a few times they threatened on the outside. Brad Pitt, the long passes to this fella, Ryan Cross. I know that Graham Murray wants the ball to cross as often as possible during this contest, but it was these fellas, the fellas at the Broncos, these wingers coming in around the ruck, building the ball up, providing spaces down the outside for Lockyer and Takiri again. I really thought the Broncos, people before the game talking about their forward muscle, how that they would be coming in and barging over the top of the Roosters, but it's been their spreading game that has caused them the most problem. Most of their yards have actually been made with quick spreads on tackle 1 and 2, and Takiri, Saylor, Carroll have been lapping it up on the outside there, streaking down the sidelines.
The Roosters are still in it.
They are. Look, there's no doubt the Broncos have been on top for that entire 40 minutes. It's been very, very physical, but the Roosters are hanging in there, and we've got a second half on our hands.
We'll be back after the break.
Young faces there still, isn't there? Like, you have a look through this Broncos team, they are losing 5 players and a couple of guys who've been there for the duration since 1988, but gee, when you have a look through and you see Ashley Harrison, you see Dane Carlwood playing in the front row out there today, tremendous effort from him. Darren Lockyer's only a young man, so too Lottie Takiri, Michael De Vere, Carl Webb, Darren Mapper coming through. You've got Scott Prince joining the club, Stuart Kelly, who's still got his best footy ahead of him. They'll only get stronger next year.
OK, well, Ricky Stewart's down there with one of the very best. Ricky?
He deserves it. You know, we didn't want to talk about it too much, you know, we just wanted to go out there and do it, and I'm just so pleased that we did it for him.
He certainly does deserve it, mate. Your defensive efforts today were just outstanding. Really, that was the clue to the win today.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what we based our season on, is just our defence, and, you know, we just hung in there for us today. The Roosters come out in the second half, wanted to throw it around, but, you know, we just kept on turning up, and, you know, that's the best thing about this team, mate. We just never give in.
Sure. And what type of influence did Wayne Bennett have on you guys today?
Oh, mate, he's pretty quiet all week, you know. He just knew that, the boys knew that we had to do it with Kevy and Michael and all those sort of blokes, so I think he just focused on the younger guys, just making sure they were up for it. Mate, they were all outstanding.
Thanks a lot, Gordy. Go and enjoy the moment,
Thanks
mate.
a lot, mate.
Cheers.
He's a fearsome competitor and one heck of a bloke, and I know his dad, Wally, quite well, living in North Queensland, Townsville Regional, I think probably in Brisbane these days, but Wally would be very, very proud, a very handy front rower in these days, but his boy has really taken everything before him. And this fellow, Wendell Saylor, plays a mean game of golf too.
Oh, look, I'm sure that there's not too many things Wendell can't do, and he'll probably tell you about it, but in the nicest possible way. But on Gordon Tallis, like, he's a player of principle. Don't forget, it's not that long ago he sat out a season, probably when, you know, he was getting close to his prime, just starting to make his name in first grade. But on principle, he said no. I'm not going to play this year, and I'll come back bigger and better the following season. That's exactly what he did.
And you'd have to think that Gordon Tallis will take over the captaincy full-time next year when Kevin Walters was out injured this year. Gordon was the captain, did a great job, leads from the front, and that's another big bonus for him in his career, being full-time captain of the Brisbane Broncos, following in the lead of Wally Lewis, Gene Miles, Kevin Walters, Alan Langer.
Now, can you imagine the amount of players who want to head north and play for the Broncos now? I mean, just adds to their lustre of playing alongside the Broncos, being coached by Bennett and so forth. I mean, it's a juggernaut and something other clubs have to contend with, obviously.
Well, I think it's been a pretty good year that way. You know, we had a top 8 playoff season this year. I'm not quite sure whether I'm a complete fan of that, but because it was so hotly contested, it shows that there is a certain evenness in the competition. Okay, these guys won the minor premiership by 6 points, so there's some ground to be made up, but I think overall we are seeing a nice dispersal of playing talent around, and you know, I think more than anything, like rugby league lost a lot in the last 4 or 5 years. You know, we are still recovering in some ways from what happened, we all know, back in the mid-90s, but I think this year, by the very nature, we've got 94,000 people here. We had a hotly contested competition for the bulk of the year. There's good things in store for our game, and that hasn't been the case for a little while.
Yes, the game has still got a lot to offer, and it's getting better all the time. And I mean, the rule changes that they've made and the innovations and so forth, the promotion, it's all starting to come together, but it's a hard road to hoe. But they've done very, very well to get this far, and as you said, you don't sneeze at a crowd of 95,000.
No, and I think we've got the right man in charge as well. I'm a fan of David Moffat. He's had his critics. I think he's done a wonderful job. He gets out there, says what he believes. No hidden agendas with him. He just wants the game to thrive, and as I say, I think the game's in very good hands. As that trophy is with Michael De Vere. He's a young man who, talk about stories, like he was probably his career was stalled to some degree. He wrote a letter to Wayne Bennett saying, I want an opportunity. That's what he's got, and now he's got the Wayne Bennett stamp of approval.
Yeah, and you get that, and it adds a lot of confidence to your way you play the game. But Wendell Saylor, one of the great characters, terrific footballer. Wayne Bennett, I just want to see you smile and do a handstand.
No, can he smile inside? Look, you know, I've spent some time with Wayne Bennett. He's got a marvellous sense of humour. He is a guy that, you know, he doesn't offer anything false to people. Like he might come across as a little bit stern, I suppose, or whatever, but look, if you spend some time around the bloke, as these guys do 4 or 5 times a week, great sense of humour, and to be a coach in rugby league, you've got to have one of those.
Yeah, because the players, I can tell you, having been to some of the training sessions, do take the stick to him every now and again as far as sending him up. Okay, we're enjoying the moment. Good pictures here from the football stadium. We'll be back with more right after the break.
8 o'clock Tuesday, after years as friends and months as a couple, Drew and Kate's big night is here. They're finally going to. You get the picture. Drew Carey, 8 o'clock Tuesday on Win Television.
To Keary and Saylor got the tries. De Vere 3 from 5. Fitzgibbon scored the try, and Phillips kicked an early penalty goal for the Roosters.
Well, we've spoken a lot about Wayne Bennett, but you're a good mate. You know Graham Murray. Did you spend a bit of time on the paddock with the boys?
Very young, but he was at Parramatta, of course, in the late 70s. That's right, before he went to South Sydney, and like he was an astute player, and I think that the transition to coach was always going to be a fairly comfortable one, and it's it is. He's been to a couple of close ones. He was at the Illawarra club, and I mean he got them almost to the grand final, and only to be knocked out. So he knows the disappointment. I guess he just wants to go that one step further, like all good coaches.
Yeah, he's been around, and he's been at Illawarra, of course, and Leeds and the Hunter Mariners. No success there, and here he is a couple of years later, gets his first start back with the NRL club, and he's done a magnificent job with them.
I think history does show, and if you have a look through the last 20 or 30 years, a lot of teams had to lose a grand final before they won one, and that's I'd say the way Graham Murray is feeling. He'd say that, okay, we've learnt plenty this afternoon, and that puts us in very good stead for next year.
Okay, well, let's just find out how he is feeling.
Well, what about the emotions of the losing coach, if you like, Graham Murray? What was going through your mind as we had the countdown applied, if you like, there close to full time?
Oh, it was disappointment because we were going to lose the football match, but there certainly wasn't any lack of commitment or courage shown by these fellas. We've had a mildly successful year. Lots of teams would have liked to have been here, but oh well, that's the way it goes.
If you could give us a post-mortem on today's game, I said after half-time that the Broncos hadn't done anything you didn't expect. I mean, they played as you would have expected, their power game through the middle, then they looked to spread it. Where then did it go wrong for the Roosters?
Oh, we probably made a couple of critical errors, you know, and from that they just capitalised on it. You know, not to blame anyone, but that's just the intensity of the game comes up with a couple of errors, and you know, we just couldn't claw their way back. I'd love to have seen Fitzgibbon if that goal had went over. We might have made them a bit nervous, but credit to our blokes and good luck to the Broncos. You know, they've been a good side all year, haven't they?
Well, Graham, just on a personal note, pretty incredible 12, 18 months for you. Challenge Cup with Leeds. You're appointed North Sydney coach. That falls through. You come back here, you're coach of the Roosters. You're here on Grand Final Day.
Yeah, it's a bit of a trip for me, or a journey, but I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've enjoyed today, even though we got beat. You met a heap of lot of new friends here, and the way they stood up today for not so much myself, but for the club, I was very proud of them and proud to be here.
All right, Graham, well done on your part in proceedings.
Thanks, Andrew.
Graham Murray there with Andrew Voss, and I guess the question's got to be asked. I mean, but Brad Fittler never really got into a position where he could assert his qualities today as much as we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
No, it was a tough afternoon for Brad Fittler. I think that there was a defining moment in his game, probably 15 or 20 minutes out, when he rolled an ankle, and his involvement then at such an important time for the Roosters was probably minimal. So that hurt them as well, but you know, he was well marked today, of course. Coming into this game, Brisbane realised that if they could keep Fittler quiet, that'd go a long way towards keeping the opponents quiet.
Just on Graham Murray, I mean, a daunting task to follow a great coach like Phil Gould, but he's had 12 months here now, and he's put his stamp on this club, the Roosters, and he'll only get better, and the club will get better under him next year.
Okay, we'll be back with more right after the break. And Peter, what have our panel of experts learned from the last game of the season?
Well, we're about to find that out, Ken, as the Broncos slowly wind their way around Stadium Australia, doing their victory lap, soaking up every little bit of this atmosphere. And I know that Paul and myself have had plenty to say, but let's find out what Paul Harrigan, Phil Gould and Wayne Pearce, what about this one, Chief? Controlled professional performance by the winners.
Yeah, it was. Look, I said at the start, if this side wins, the Brisbane Broncos, they've been the best team all year. They played extremely well. But I think for the Roosters, looking back, probably a few missed opportunities. I didn't think their kicking game was that crash hot. And didn't get a chance to offload with Fletcher and Solomona. Usually, I remember you saying at half-time the line breaks at 5-1 to the Brisbane Broncos. And I thought that was a big difference, no offloads. But all in all, what a great side. Wendell Sailor and Lottie Dakira and Lockyer were banked as going to be the key players this match. And they lived up to it. And there was no grand final fever with them boys. They played extremely well.
Gus, are you disappointed with the performance at all? Like, the effort was there, the conviction was there, but the execution, was that what let them down?
It was, Phil, and that happens sometimes in your first grand final. Look, for me, the game went according to plan. Broncos came out with a great physical assault early. Roosters stumbled a little bit. They steadied the ship. They got themselves back physically into the game, but just couldn't get a try when they needed one, and the Broncos very professionally handled the closing stages. Wayne Bennett came down to the sideline with 15 minutes to go. He knew that was going to be the crucial period. The Roosters did score a try in that time, but it wasn't enough to get them back.
Junior, 2 tries to 1, you've got to take advantage of your opportunities. We're going to have a look at a couple of the tries. Wendell Sailor needs no help in getting across the line, but Matt Singh trips over.
A bit of space he's not usually going to go over, and unfortunately for the Roosters, that was the first blow, and then that was followed up a little later on with another blow. And at 12-2, it was a margin that the Roosters could come back from, and in the second half they certainly put the points back on the board. But I thought that the big thing that really cost the Roosters today was their kicking game. I thought that too many of the kicks went down the throat of Darren Lockyer. The chasing game wasn't too bad, but unfortunately just gave Lockyer too much room to move, and he picked up the Clive Churchill medal.
We know who you're talking about, mate.
For the player of the match, and I thought he thoroughly deserved it.
Yeah. Took a long while to come before the Roosters got across, but they did finish with a flurry, Paul, and this Craig Fitzgibbon try, his second in 2 grand finals.
Knowing that they had to score 2 more times. You've got to score once and convert it to get the 14 all. You know, it's come on, let's go, boys, but I think twice is too much of an ask.
Okay, well, a tremendous finish of the season by the Brisbane Broncos. I think it's been a good year. The top 8 playoff made for some very exciting football at the end of the year. Some disappointment for you, Junior, of course. You looked pretty much throughout the whole year that you were going to be involved, but right at the death there, just didn't get to the line.
Yeah, well, it was disappointing. We were sitting in second position at the halfway point of the competition, but unfortunately we lost a number of games late in the season. We had a devastating injury list, but unfortunately we just weren't good enough to get there, make the finals in the end. And I agree with the Chief. I mean, the best team did win the competition. The Broncos have been the most consistent team all year, and I think that generally speaking, that's the team that wins the competition.
All right, from your low light, we've all been asked to pick a highlight. Let's start with you, Fatty. Looking back over season 2000, what was your highlight?
I thought it was a great year of rugby league, and the thing that stands out for me is the third state of origin. Ryan Girdler's performance was just unbelievable. 32 points he scored in this match. It's a record that I think will never be broken unless he breaks it himself. They won the game, I think, by 40, 56 to 16. Queensland were ordinary, but just this individual performance from Ryan Girdler was fantastic. 10 goals from 10 attempts and 3 tries. It's a standout for me, and it's something that I don't think I'll see bettered for a long time.
And a good young player has moved now to that elite level. Junior, what about you looking back over?
Well, it's involved basically with the same event, the State of Origin this year. I was just absolutely delighted to have been involved with the series. The guys were absolutely fantastic. We came together in the first game. Probably had an ounce of luck to win the first game, but the guys improved to win the second match by a record New South Wales winning margin, and we went on to win the third match by 40 points, which was a State of Origin record winning margin. It was just great.
Before we go to Paul Harrigan's, there was some talk after that State of Origin series that the domination of New South Wales looks set to continue. Aren't things as dire for Queensland as we may think, with no Jason Smith, no Adrian Lamb, Jason Hetherington, of course, gone?
No, the only problem for Queensland is the development of the younger players, and with only the Brisbane Broncos looking after virtually all of Queensland, they just bring them through at the rate they need them, and a lot of opportunities for other fellas aren't getting across the line into first-grade football and getting that exposure to be picked in those rep sides. You know, when we had the likes of the Gold Coast and those sort of teams, at least players did come out of those teams to play Origin football. You know, it's got to be a big job by Queensland, but some really good young players in this Broncos side have come through, and they'll pull on the maroon next year and do a good job.
All right, Chief, what was your top pick?
I thought the wingers this year played extremely well. You know, I think you can see Matt Rogers here was the one I was going to say, but look, there's been 3 top performers, and Wendell Saylor's been one. But this particular game, Matt Rogers was up against Adam McDougall. They were challenging for the ANZ Test spot. Adam McDougall put the challenge forward. This guy scored a record number of points, equaling his father. The Cronulla Sharks really played well. Adam McDougall got him back in the State of Origin. Of course, Wendell Saylor has been playing fantastic all year. So those 3 players, just 3 tremendous athletes doing their best, and that was a particularly fine game for Matthew.
Phil Gould.
Yeah, well, many great days, many memorable moments, but none more memorable than Laurie Daly's retirement. Now, I don't look at his retirement as a highlight, but I look at the day put on for him by the Canberra Raiders. And look at all these kids along this walkway here as the great man runs out to play his last game at Bruce Stadium. And this is the reason why young kids take up rugby league. Champions like this, you're giving a fitting end. The Raiders lifted that day to beat the Roosters. They didn't get onto a grand final appearance, but Laurie Daly will remember this last day at Bruce Stadium forever. It was a fitting tribute to a champion player.
Yes, indeed, and going from one of our greats leaving the game, my top pick, a young man just coming into the game, and it's a purely selfish one. It was at Parramatta Stadium on a Saturday night, and I could have closed my eyes and just gone back 20 years here. And I know that we don't like comparing young players with their fathers, but this effort from young Eric Grove to defeat the Penrith Panthers, it was Arlach, his father, fantastic stuff, and he was chosen to play State of Origin this year, didn't make it, but I think if he wants to make his name in rugby league, he'll be pulling on the sky blue jersey on plenty more occasions. Well, Ken, that's our general consensus down here. We believe the best side has won today, and they have shown themselves to be the best side throughout the year. I want to thank Paul Harrigan, Phil Gould, Wayne Pearce, and Paul Vorton, whatever your name is. That crocodile next to him. It's been a great, great day, as I said earlier. Grand final day, the best day of the year. I hope everybody else has enjoyed it. We've enjoyed being here. Back to you, Ken. We'll do it all again soon. We'll do it all again soon.
Good on you. Thank you very much, Peter. Next, we talk to the mastermind of today's victory, winning coach Wayne Bennett. Kevin Walters, his last game of rugby league, he's gone out a winner. He's been a winner his entire career in the game, along with his brothers, a wonderful family, but that was a terrific way to call it quits. Now, there were plenty of stars on both sides this afternoon. One stood above them all. Here's today's man of the match, Churchill medal winner, Darren Lockyer. Andrew Voss caught up with him.
Churchill medal, a former great fullback, Clive Churchill, the little master, Darren Lockyer. This must be one of your proudest days.
Oh, probably is, mate. You know, I suppose it's a pinnacle to win a grand final, then, you know, voted man of the match. There's nothing better. And, it's just great to be a part of a winning side today.
Darren, you're just a young man, yet so much has happened in your rugby league career today. A third grand final appearance. You must feel very fortunate to be with a club such as the Broncos.
Yeah, well, it is. And, I mean, one thing that goes through your mind, I suppose, every time from now on in playing a grand final with the Broncos is, when are we going to lose one? So today, that was, you know, a lot of negative thoughts going through my mind that I didn't want to be a part of a losing side, you know, in a grand final, and I'm just glad that we won.
Darren, congratulations on the award on a personal note and on the premiership.
Thanks, Mossy. Thanks, mate.
Darren Lockyer with Andrew Voss there. You know, the passing every season ushers another crop of veterans into the ranks of yesterday's heroes. This year, the Great Departure Lounge of Rugby League has been graced by a VIP cast. Tim Sheridan reports.
Stewart across for Daly, Murray Daly, oh, that is magnificent!
I think my gift was probably the ability to break tackles when I were in the ball, when I was at my best. I found that when I were in the ball I was pretty dangerous and pretty hard to stop, and if I didn't break the tackle, then I was able to offload the ball, and I think that was probably my greatest strength.
Had the ability with the ball in my hands to hit a player on the chest 5 metres away or 25 metres away. The kicking game was obviously an advantage because people didn't really seem to want to kick the ball on the second or third tackle in instead of sixth, where I thought if I could get 60-70 metres on a kick on the third tackle, there's no use waiting for the fifth. I just think that changed the way Canberra played and probably changed the way rugby league was thinking at that time.
Now it's come across for Kevin Walters, gravel winger.
Well, I think I usually read a game pretty well and could sniff out when to support a player with carrying the ball forward, or even in defence. Although I did miss a lot of tackles, I always felt I could sniff out when something dangerous was happening with the opposition with their attack, and I could either try and slip in behind the line or just get back there to help someone.
Now they're crossing the halfway, looking to visit the try line for the first time.
I guess for me it was more than speed and working on defence. It was actually anticipation, I guess, turning a half chance or a half break into a try.
Now Larson again, some heavy treatment from this Newcastle pack.
I think the thing that I liked to do and I was probably best at was as a defensive player. I love to tackle.
Okay, here's Halligan then with the conversion from the sideline, 22 metres out. Have a look at it!
Goal kicking was something that I wasn't particularly successful with earlier on in my career. I'd go out in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and kick goals when I knew Ridgie and Jason Taylor were in bed, and I'd tell myself they were in bed and I was out here, so therefore I'm putting myself ahead of them.
I had a high work rate, I thought. When I first started playing in grade, I just used to tackle all day. It was one person's fitness up against another person's fitness. And yeah, I prided myself on being pretty fit and lasting the full 80 minutes. I think it has to be one of my great moments off the top of my head would be the try I scored in the '94 Grand Final.
Daly, the capitalises, runs through the gap, over the 30, support is coming, Daly, he won't need it, Daly, he scores!
The best and worst moments of my career all happened in the same game, all in the space of 10 minutes.
Kicked the football in the 1998 State of Origin series. And heading for the sidelines out in the full, game over. But unfortunately for Queensland, the ball stayed in touch. Ben Eichen picked it up and we scored in the next set of 6.
He holds the pass up and here's Walters getting it away. They're over again. Queensland are in.
The way we won the first match with that kick in the dying moments really made me feel very special and very proud.
Well, my best ever moment, I guess, was in 1990, second test. We were right against the wall.
I remember Parramatta in 98 when there was very little time left and I had a kick from the sideline to level it up. I made a point of going over and congratulating the try scorer because I knew that would relax me.
Has there been a more important kick for Canterbury? He hits it. If it hooks it, it's staying on the line. He's got it. The man is a messiah. He's a freak.
I'll always remember playing my first State of Origin game. Just being called up for the first time playing for Queensland. I remember being as nervous as all hell. I was dead set keen on going out there and just going hard for 80 minutes. And I did that. I came off absolutely stuffed.
Probably the thing that stands in my mind was a tackle I made one day in 1996, I think, against Manly, Mark Carroll. He took it up, and the best tackle I think I've ever made. And I often replay it. It was a great tackle, and it was perfectly timed and had the desired effect.
I've got two lovely kids, two lovely girls actually. Jamie, who's 4 in a couple of months, and Caitlin, who's about eight months old, and they play very well together. And yeah, they've been the joy of my life.
Your daddy's girl. Your daddy's girl, Ulster. My wife, Kaylee, and I are two very lucky people. We have two beautiful children, Emma, who is 3, and Jackson, who is 1. I will never ever push Jackson into the sport, but I can already see that he's going to be a footballer one day, and deep down I really hope he does play.
Well, I've got 3 boys. Jack, and he's the oldest, he's 9 years old. There's Billy in the middle, little Tara, he's 6, and Jet will be 4 in October, so 3 of them, all they love their sport, particularly their footy. They love playing footy in the backyard. They watch a lot of it, of course, and the Broncos are their favourite team, no doubt about that.
How long have you been doing that? We've had 2 children. Poppy's 6 and Jack is 3.5. And I think the world of them, like any doting dad.
Oh, I think fatherhood is the greatest privilege of all time. To be able to look after your children, to be able to bring them through, to educate them, to show them the right way, I think is probably the reason we're all here.
Taken enough steps back?
Earlier on, rugby league and sport were everything to me. Those great moments in sport are fantastic, but moments with the children sit a long way above that for sure.
My rugby league career, my epitaph would probably read, hopefully, he always had a go.
I'd like to be remembered as a player who played for the team, always gave his best, and was very short in stature.
Realise another footballer with 2 bad knees.
Good player, better bloke.
Back at Stadium Australia, the great arena is all but empty, but I guess there's going to be lots of celebrations in Queensland tonight, particularly in Brisbane, obviously, because their team are the champions, but nevertheless something to celebrate also for Rooster fans. On behalf of the entire team here at Wide World of Sports, thanks very much. Until we meet again, good afternoon.
This has been another presentation from Nine's Wide World of Sports. This Rugby League telecast proudly brought to you by 4X Gold, Good as Gold, Bundy Rum and KFC.